3-minute prayer.
You make sense. You don't know what I'm talking
I know.
about. It is.
I'm almost down Thursday.
Gotta go. First item on the agenda, we need to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 10th, 2023, the special call meeting of August 15th, 2023, the regular meeting of August 15th, 2023, the public hearing of August 29th, 2023, and the special call meeting of August 29th, 2023. Do we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, under appearances tonight, I just want to remind everybody, guests, that to limit your presentation to no more than 5 minutes. And Ryan, if you will, we have a write-in here.
Yep.
With Elliott Flags with Cornerstone.
No worries.
We requested he come down to the meeting tonight, and then we failed to put him on the agenda. So go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. I promise y'all be under 5 minutes. So this is just a summary. So just very quickly, again, Elliott Flags, I'm principal and counsel at Cornerstone Government Affairs. Around this time last year, we came down to the presentation to the board to tell you more about our firm and the governmental relations practice that we have. And so we now represent Brookhaven, so we're thankful for your support in hiring us. We work for you at the state and federal levels, politics, particularly at the state capitol, working with your legislative delegation and legislative leadership. So if you take a quick look at the summary that's being passed around, this entails some of the work that we've done for the city. Starting with the 2023 session, we worked with your legislative delegation and legislative leadership, both Governor Hoseman and Speaker Gunn, and we were successfully able to get $1 million for your Brookhaven Boulevard project. If you take a look at House Bill 1089, the copy is right behind the summary. That money is reflected in there. I'm not sure if the city has received the funding, but it should come from the Department of Finance and Administration. And if you have not received it, we're happy to call Liz Welch, who runs CFA.
How much money is that?
It's $1 million for Brookhaven Boulevard project. It should be the first bullet point on the summary. Something else that we talked about when we did our presentation was that in our DC office, we have an Ops Watch team where several pieces of congressional legislation, the summary, but in more particular, the summaries of grant opportunities that are sent to us. We've disseminated what we thought to be good opportunities for the city of Brookhaven. Here are some here. So the RAISE grant, that's mostly transportation infrastructure issues. If you look at the second one, I sent it, but the city unfortunately did not qualify because it was for municipalities 35,000 population or above. So that I put it on here because we sent it as a firm, but the city did not qualify because of its population size. Next would be the Department of Transport. This is the United States Department of Transportation, Safe Streets and Roads for All grants. And as our DC office disseminates this information to us, again, once we see a grant that we believe the city qualifies for, my communications have been with Mayor Cox, Clerk Melicon, and Attorney Moak. Happy to add any of you to those email chains. If you want me to, it's no problem at all. Just want to make sure everybody's informed of what we're doing. And last but not least, every year, Senator Podsmith and Senator Wicker take appropriation requests from nonprofits, associations, organizations, but more importantly from counties and municipalities in Mississippi for particular projects. Just highly encourage the city to take advantage of the fact that our U.S. Senator resides right here in Lincoln County and can be very beneficial. She sits on Senate Appropriations. So as we come up with your priorities for the city, particularly infrastructure projects, usually rank higher in the senator's offices. Definitely prioritize your relationship with Senator Hyde Smith, and we're happy to send those appropriation requests to her. The city has to apply. The Cornerstones can go and get letters of support from community leaders, your local legislative delegation, etc. That sums up the work we've done. I know that the Brookway Boulevard project.
Can you
Yes.
explain the no local private legislation necessary? What is number two?
So municipalities typically have legislation that passes through your local private committees in both the House and Senate. And the reason I have restaurant, hotel, motel taxes, most cities have an additional tourism tax where an additional 1% is added to restaurant receipts. An additional 1 or 2% is added to your.
So how have you helped us with that?
Well, I'm saying there were no local and private legislation necessary this year because you didn't have to extend any of your repealers. So Cornerstone did not work on it because you didn't need it. You already have those in place. But whenever those repealers come up, we will utilize our relationships at the Capitol to make sure they're extended, to make sure that you're getting those tourism dollars as people visit.
And the appropriations request down here too.
Yeah.
You're basically putting those there, but we haven't done anything, so you haven't done anything with that.
The opportunity resides, the city has to send in the appropriation, but Cornerstone cannot do that. But Cornerstone can provide, help you with letters of support.
Do we pay him for purchase? How do we, and
Any questions?
One question. Is there anything called a community block grant out there that you can look?
Yes, that usually comes from the state, directed to your cities, and then the city can appropriate how it goes as long as it fits within the confines or the parameters of what's allowed to be spent on, if that makes sense. But if you want more information, I'm happy to send them to you.
please, one other question. Do you have anything coming? I mean, do we have anything applied for or, so if it remains the same, if we don't do anything right now, when you come back here next year, what's gonna happen? Where are we at?
Well, what we have to do is meet with you all again, see what your legislative priorities are.
Okay, we've been here all year, but you haven't met with, why we met with you this year?
My community, I'm happy to add everyone to the email chain. My emails have been with Mayor Cox, Clerk Bellicon, and Trey Butler. And you do have $1 million coming from DFA, which we successfully got.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Ryan Holmes.
We already were living in the.
You can't hear out here.
Y'all may need to get.
Yeah, you can't hear a word out there. Good evening. I'll be quick. North Jackson Street, they've started on that. Clearing complete. They do have the bridge out. We got barricades still in place. Utility companies, we got a lot of utilities to relocate. Energy, water, sewer, spark light, AT&T. So all that coordination, which we're handling, but it's, it's all got to kind of fall into place. So it can take a few weeks for all that to happen, maybe a little longer. Couple of board action items. I know I sent these to you, Samantha. We need to authorize the pre-application for the AIP and the BIL grant funds for the airport. Those are board authorization for that.
Guys, that's number
24.
That's number 7 over here on the numbered items.
If y'all want to take it up later, I just want
Let's
to
go ahead.
mention.
We'll go ahead and do it now in case there's some questions.
Okay.
Motion. Yeah, 7 and 8. We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, please raise your hand.
Yes.
This is 7 and 8.
Yeah. That was 7 and 8. And
Yes.
y'all got 9 on there. Do I need to hang around for that? I can.
Let's go ahead and do that one if you'd like. We need a motion then to approve and authorize Duncan Engineering to begin work on the Oak Hill EWP project. You all recall that is the dam and what have you that we're getting money Through in.
NRCS, yes, sir.
They're paying that. That's right. We have a motion.
Yeah, the NRCS, put in 65 and they have to match anything over that, so we're actually did come in over that.
This for what, they're currently with the road.
I'm sorry, yeah, their matches right now is $16,625, federal is 54, 862, so a little over 60,000 total.
What was the last number?
Their amount is 16,625. The non, that's their match, and the federal's 54, so.
What do you see it, man? I see it.
No,
See it, we paying nothing.
We're just a sponsor.
And they pay the engineer fees.
Any overages beyond, you know, whatever, there's $54,000 of federal grant money. Anything above that, they're responsible. It's an easy way to say that.
I motion for that. All in favor, please raise your hand.
That's all I have. I'll hang around. Keith and I have been working on a few other things, but he asked, we kind of waiting, he was here and update. So,
He didn't make it.
he didn't make, that's right. He said he thought he might, but I was like, maybe you're
No,
not gonna make it.
no,
When he told me what was going on, I was like, you're not gonna make it.
Thank you,
I'll
Ryan.
hang around.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can you look at that bridge on South Washington that we had,
Yes, sir.
to go out?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you may look at for as replacement or
Yes.
repair,
Repair,
not repairable,
not repair.
not repairable.
Let's look at a replacement and see what it's.
What I can do to at least get the conversation moved to the next step is do a very high level cost. That's not, you know, we can do that pretty quickly, and then we can continue to discuss it. That'll work.
Not what.
But it's not repairable.
We talking down there about whole.
Oh, no, that's right.
I can work that out. Give me about a week.
Okay.
That'll work. That good with you?
Yes, sir.
Keep thinking about adding short term to that thing.
All right, thank you,
I'll
Ryan.
hang around.
All right, all
Thank
right. Mike McKenzie.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Real quick, just a couple of things. You guys will remember I passed out bid tabulations at the last board meeting for the bids we had on rubbish bid. I've got them again if you want to see them. The short version is our low bidder was 2.4 million, and we don't have the funds available to do that at this point. I think you guys need to just reject the bids. We will draft up a letter for the mayor, send to DEQ, and let them know that we're going to be working on the plan to come up with the remaining the necessary funds that we don't have at this point, and we'll give them a new completion date. I'll draft up a letter to send this to the mayor later this week.
The month of rest of the keep on pay for it. I know DEQ's,
You look at the town. Well, I mean, we've been talking to them for over a year now. So we'll ask you again.
I'm here.
We'll see.
Mike, I want to thank you for that work you've done on South Washington.
Yes. Absolutely.
That rip wrap, keep that water out of it.
We'll get Greenbrier to finish up the cleanup work we talked about.
All right, thank you.
And Mr. McGee, we've got the plans on your sewer job to a point that we need to come down and if you have time later this week, just kind of sit down and look at them and talk about where the lines are going to be so that nobody gets surprised with manholes in the yard.
Okay, we can do that, tomorrow. Got you on
Or Thursday, probably.
Thursday?
Yeah, let me call you and see what time works best. Morning or afternoon, better.
Morning.
Okay.
All right, we need a motion then to reject the bid regarding the landfill closure. Motion. All in favor, please raise your hand.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike.
I got one word. Now, you gonna continue the talks without, is there that possibility that they just finally stop and say, hey, still gotta do it.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna be right back in here at that point, trying to figure it out. Cause we have, by law, we have, once they say it, how long, when they say this is it, how long do we have?
Well, that's up to them to decide that. But what I would say is that we're already there. We're already inside that room. And we're not gonna get out. We're still playing nice and they're still playing nice. Everybody's still on good terms at this point. Their response to this, letter and a new proposed closure date will tell us everything that you're asking. But I think that they will receive, our letter stating that we're still gonna do it. It's just more than we had money to do. We're gonna be doing this, that, or the other thing, whatever that is. And we project we'll have it done by this new date. I think they'll take it. Yeah, it's not something we're not gonna get more than, say, another year to do this.
We're about 1.3 short.
How long will it take from complete, once we approve it?
6 months. Once we start working those DEQ's whole perspective on it.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you, sir. Next, we got Mike Smith with IRM regarding our insurance renewals for property and casualty.
Good evening, everyone.
Good.
Regretted time of the year again, insurance renewal. As everybody knows, in the past, we've had a total travelers insurance company, and that's who we have come back with recommending again this year. Some good things that happened on this thing. I'm sure everybody's heard about the terrible things that happened in the property insurance markets in the state of Mississippi, any place on the coast. Travelers came in. We went to the Mississippi, Terry Happy. We went to the Mississippi State Rating Bureau, had all the buildings come out here and looked at, appraised, and square footage, and a diagram of everything. And we sent these new diagrams to the Travelers Insurance Company to make sure our values were in line, and they were. And so that's a great thing to hear. As you know, on this property insurance, we have written on a blanket basis, which means we have $22,491,512 of coverage. God forbid something is happening, we can apply that whole 22 million to any location that may be destroyed there. So the greatest thing about this policy, and I've emphasized this in years past, it has no co-insurance clause. And that's the biggest thing in the world right there in this day of increasing values. So that's the property insurance. The other thing, the next big item that we have on the that we need to discuss is workers' compensation. Okay. Let's see. Excuse me, page 11, page 19.
Send them out Friday, this week, it was some else, you send me the packet we did on Friday before the board meeting. We can review them, whole lot easier.
Sure. The Friday before? Okay. We'll have that next time. The workers' comp, there's several things that goes into workers' comp. It's based on the amount of payroll that we have. And of course, that is a moving target there. And what they do is come in at the end of the year and audit it. If the payroll is not what we estimated it to be, we owe you money back, which last year we owed you money back. If it's more, you owe us more. That's one thing. The rates, I'm happy to say, the rates have remained about the same this year. The only other thing that comes into it is what we call an experience modification. The experience modification is a direct correlation between the expected losses each class is expected to have and the actual losses that do occur. And, in the past several years, we hadn't done good, guys. We've had some pretty rough years, had some pretty large individual claims. And this is promulgated by the NCCI, which is National Council of Compensation Insurance. Every company has to go to the NCCI to get this experience mod, so it's not something Travelers does. Every insurance company that does workers' comp business in the state of Mississippi has to go to it. That mod last year went from 1.09 to 1.18. Anything over 1.0 is not good. And again, it's a direct correlation about losses to expected losses and payrolls. So that had a bearing on it. And then the other thing is, last year we based the quotation. When I get to the premium pages in a minute, you'll see the quotation on there, and it's the big item that went up this year. And the other reason it went up is because the payrolls that we're estimating this year, or last year we used 6.3 million, we're using 7 million this year. We came back and checked with Samantha to see if that was, which one was the closest. And the 7 million was the one we have to use. And again, if it doesn't come up to $7 million, we owe you the money back, just like we did last year. So, but you'll see in a few minutes, this is the bigger rate increase. The only other thing that we have any decent size increase in is the automobile. Reason for that, we have 3 more power units this year than we did last year. It is what it is there. But I was just tickled to death with the proposal overall of what Travelers did. In this climate of the insurance business right now, there are not a lot of players in the public entity line. We went out, for example, there's a broker that specializes in workers' comp for public entities. We went out and got a proposal from them with a Bitco insurance company. I think our premium is like $239,000, I believe it is. Be closer. Yeah, 229, excuse me. The closest that they could get to us was 309,000. And again, the reason being, we've got an experience. First of all, public entities, no one wants it because of the firefighters and police. Terrible, very few players. Second thing is, when you have an experience modification over 1.0, that really cuts it down. And with a 1.18, and thank goodness we have all these combined with Travelers. Travelers may have not even wanted to renew the insurance. So we were happy with the whole thing. The bottom line, I'm sure everybody wants to do is, if you'll go down to about 5 or 6 pages from the end, there's a premium comparison between last year and this year. It's got every line of coverage that we have spelled out here to you. The bottom line is, last year it was 517,747. This year we're looking at 586,540, which is about a $70,000 increase. But as I've already indicated, 50,000 of that 70,000 is the workers' compensation increase. And that's, again, because of the experience modification and the increase in payrolls.
Why does the mod, does it change years?
Changes every year. And the losses the last year do not go into the calculation. It's the 3 previous years. The reason the last year's
So you
doesn't go
gotta
in.
have 3 good years to really change your mind.
Well, no, you can have a bad year, a terrible year, and you drop it, and it'll change drastically in 1 year. But the terrible thing about it is, guys, we got 3 bad years.
We're fortunate, in my opinion, with that 1.18 that Travelers.
That's what I don't think they would have if they didn't have the entire package. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you insure all properties that the city owns?
Yes, it's good.
How about this building that got converted?
That's on the,
Housing
that's
authority.
the housing
That's,
authority.
that's not.
That don't fall under this umbrella.
Any questions for Mike? We need a motion to, accept these renewals. Got a motion, do you have a second? All in favor, please raise your hand.
You should not have that to you early next year.
Thanks, sir.
Thank y'all.
Next, we've got, Ms. Ann Wilson. She
She's gonna
wanted to, discuss the grand jury report.
She gonna pass.
She gonna,
She gonna pass.
Jerry Kelly. There you are.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Real quick, I know it's what, 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yes, sir.
I only use the clock when I'm busy and preaching, so. All right. So, my name's Jerry Kelly, resident, also a leader in the Brookhaven community. I know some of you may have heard about Life at the Brook Community Town Hall meeting that we've been hosting. I think it's been going on a little bit over a year now. I pretty much made myself accountable to the citizens that come to that meeting for the concerns and different things that were voiced, to be a voice for them. Not everybody, is willing to come front and express, how they feel, what they think, questions and things of that nature. So I created just a little list because I was told before I came that I don't think you can actually just directly ask questions to individuals. So I want to make sure that I stay within the parameters of the agenda. But if I can, what's the word? Kind of encourage the things that were asked at the particular meeting, because there are a lot of people who's concerned about the community. It's not a black and white thing, but it's a Brookhaven thing as a whole. And we know the recent grand jury findings and things of that nature. And I mean, you just got to be honest. There are some things that's going on that people know concerning our police department, concerning the ins and outs and dealings of different things. And we can't act as if these things does not exist. And these are some of the things that have been expressed. These are some of the things that have been exposed, and I'm just gonna, kind of skim this list. First of all, I want to say that I don't come to be, a big name or anybody like that. I don't come to offend or sound condescending or anything of that nature. My grandmother used to tell me something a long time ago. She used to fuss at myself and my cousins together. And what she would say is that if the shoe fit, then wear it, which means that if I didn't have any dealings with it, then there was no need for me to be offended. So I want to say, please don't take nothing to heart or personal. If it's not you, it's not you. If it is, hey, nobody never know unless you say something. But tonight, I just want to express, because again, I made myself accountable to them. I don't know what you guys think that we talk about in those meetings. They're not bashing conversations. They're not, we're not slandering anybody, but so far everything that's been spoken in those meetings have been the truth. And the concerns for some of those that come, and it's only for those that come. I don't want anybody to think that I'm speaking for anybody outside of that room. If they come and they voice an opinion and we write it down, hey, we come in with it. So there are some who believe that those that have been elected officials are using their powers and using their influence in negative manners. Negative manners could be, maybe you getting something under the table, you got some little deals that you're working out or whatever the case would be. Some are known to own properties that they're not taking care of. They're asking why isn't these things, kind of being, brought to light. As elected officials, I understand that, you know, you got the Robert Rules of Order and all these things that you go through. As a former appointed chief of police who worked for elected officials, I also understand the dynamics of working hand in hand with elected officials and when you're told to do something and things of that nature. So I understand those areas, but the general public don't. And so when things are done, things are said, and they're not explained, then it leads people to wonder. When officers are known to harass citizens and they try to go file a complaint or report or, you know, whatever the case, and they're turned around or they're threatened to be arrested themselves, these type of things leave a bad taste in the citizen's mouth. And so when you look to have law and order in a community and people don't respect law enforcement, it's not because they don't want to, but there are reasons why people don't stop for Brookhaven Police Department. There are reasons why people don't go to different offices here and file complaints and things of that nature because their information get leaked some kind of way, or when evidence is turned in, these things get lost. These are things, I know you have an investigator who is working for you, looking into things and checking out things for you, but it's only so much he can do, it's only so much he gonna find. But the public, there are members of the public, the general public that knows the actions and the truth behind so many things, where you have officers working part-time jobs for $60 an hour, where, you know, they're not even doing their full-time duty as a law enforcement officer. So the conditions of some of these homes that some of the aldermen own, why do you work with other aldermen to help? Why don't you work with other aldermen to help out with code enforcement? Know that there's a code enforcement here. Some members of the public don't know about a code enforcement. And so people don't want nobody knocking on their door telling them how to govern their property and things of that nature if they don't even know the dynamics of what this job entails. I just ask that, you know, when you hear of these meetings that's being had, don't automatically assume and think something negative, or you don't want to hear the complaints, this, that, and the other. But I would encourage you to just stop by and come and see what the public would have to say. 1 minute.
I gave you an extra.
Oh, gave an extra minute. Okay.
I already did.
You did?
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So I'm gonna leave saying this. There's a difference between camouflage and transparency. And sometimes what we think and say is transparency is actually camouflage. Gotta learn the difference between the two. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Thank you. Next, we have Miss Emma Devine, wants to speak to us tonight.
I have my copies with them. First of all, I want to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to present the concerns of a group of Brookhaven citizens, especially as it relates to the ordinance 250-2023 concerning redistricting here in the city of Brookhaven. I asked to be on the agenda today because, much like Pastor Kelly just said, I attend a lot of community meetings here in the area. And we talk about a lot of issues that we feel need to be addressed. And quite honestly, some of us are putting our feet to the ground, bending our back, and we're dealing with some of the issues that can be dealt with as citizens. But we rely on our elected officials to help us with those things that we can't do on our own. And one of them, in several of the meetings recently, the topic of the redistricting has come up. And 2 points in particular have been familiar in all of those meetings. The first is that many don't feel that there was ample opportunity for the citizens to get a full understanding of the impending changes that are coming. I was here when we were supposed to have a meeting for that transparency. It did not occur. On that evening, several of us sat out there in the lobby waiting to come in, and there was a closed meeting here. When the doors opened, we were told that the members were on a short break, and when they came back, they would begin the business of that week's city council meeting. So we were basically, we weren't given an alternate date. We weren't told what was next. We were kind of left in the dark about the ramifications of this redistricting plan that eventually, of course, as we all know, was approved, and it actually goes into effect 10 days from today. The second issue is the process by which voting occurred. It seemed to us that even in the few seconds before the redistricting plan was actually voted with a 4-3 affirmative vote, that there was an unspoken uncertainty, even coming from some people sitting at the table. And we saw that the fact that our mayor seemed to have to coerce the committee to get a second on motion was somewhat disconcerting. It seemed that the 6 aldermen, besides the one that made the motion, had some ambivalence about even their vote. It may just be a perception from me, but some others have expressed this same issue. It seems that they were unsure about where they wanted to vote. That's the only way that we can interpret the lack of someone just stepping up and saying, I second that motion. Here tonight, we heard a couple of motions go through quickly. It is, can I get a motion? I motion. Can I get a second? I second. All in favor, aye. It goes quickly. That night, for some reason, it did not. It seems at some point that with that being the case, it should have been postponed until everybody was sure of their vote. So those are the 2 major issues. We would like to have more transparency in this situation. I talked to some people as most recent as today, and some things have come to light. But I think the citizens, as Pastor Kelly just said in his speech, we're looking for some transparency. We want to know what is going on. But we also want those processes to go in their proper manner. And I have to say, as I get ready to close, that I am making this statement using what our local journalist Brett Campbell said in his recent article concerning this petition that we put together, that I do this as a right to make a complaint to or to seek the assistance of my government without fear of punishment or reprisal for doing so. And in my final 1 minute, 13 seconds, I'd like to amend with a request that the city council consider moving this meeting to another location that will accommodate more citizens. As a co-founder of Better Brookhaven and also a participant that corroborates with a lot of other organizations in this area, we are encouraging more citizens to attend these types of meetings, to listen intently so that they understand and to learn exactly how our government is run and how they can best benefit us. So attendance, the increased attendance that we anticipate is going to be a moot point if they're relegated to sit in the hallways or even worse, all the way out in the front lobby where they can't hear even my beautiful speech today. But again, I want to thank you for your time and your attention.
Very good. Very good. All right, next we have Randy Jones.
You have me again.
Yeah.
Look, I want to thank you all for this moment to be here to voice my problems. The first one I will discuss is about the lift station fence, whatever you want to call it. And it's not so much the fence itself, it's the principle that it was put there without even our request to put it there, without approval, because it was our land and you put it there without asking us if it was okay. You just have an egress or easement on that property. And the easement, if you look it up, is the same as a right of way, but it doesn't give you total authority to face property without the landowner's approval. And then I thank you for offering the key, but I can't keep up with my own keys. I don't need another one to try to keep up with. My suggestion is either you take it down or you buy the property itself. Then you can do what you want to do. The other problem we're looking at is the flooding. Don, if you would pass that around, I want everybody to get a look at that. For some reason, it looked at me before I left to come down here. So I said, God must be telling me something. But we have decided, my wife and I, that we're going to stop the water from coming like that to our yard. So you probably have more people coming to this board meeting than just us. You'll have people from Partner Street coming. Because we got to look out for ourselves first. So we're going to dam up that ditch if we don't get anything done, and the water will go wherever it needs to go. But we won't have that kind of vision in our yard. And that's about all I have to say. I probably got some more minutes, but I've said what I want to say. I'm through with it. I won't be coming back to board meetings looking for assistance. We just got to do what we got to do.
Amen.
I thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Bill. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Chief Ainsworth.
Hey, Chief, thank you, you guys for acting quickly on that fire in MLK.
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of prior. I'm getting bits and pieces of it from them, but, it was really.
Chief Collins,
I want to introduce these officers here. They agreed to come help us in Brookhaven. Y'all introduce yourself.
Rashawn Timmy. Travis Crane. Kenny Short.
And I have a lady that couldn't make it, she had to work the ball game. She's got 5 years of experience. I interviewed Officer Crane. Tell them how many years you have.
23 total.
So when the lady come up missing, Miss Dixon come up missing, I knew we needed a dog, so we've been researching grants and stuff. Tell them about your handling of dogs.
I've been K9 hound since 2004. I actually started working in K9 in 2016 to go inside of Hinds County Jail to be their jail administrator. I was a jail administrator until the great Lee Vance passed away, and I ended up in Potty County.
I think it's time to get our own dog because you having to wait till these animals come out of different places. If we got somebody missing, we're seeking out grants and seeing what the cost would be. And he's already trained for that. And Sean, he's got, how many years you have? 7. Y'all know Deputy Short. And we have a lady too that we ran background checks on and everything worked out. I appreciate that. And I give that to y'all. And so we hope maybe they can go full-time, but they can start off part-time. And hopefully a couple of them told me that they could go full-time, they would. So they're gonna help us out where we need help. And we've done background checks on all of them. And I have the background checks here. All of them passed our background checks.
Chief, on the list, you got Mr. Short, Mr. Tillman, I missed the other name,
Those two come in Friday evening, we interviewed them, me and my team,
but we got 3 guys here, so
Mr. Officer Crane.
Crane.
Yes.
That's all,
We-
that's all. I just didn't have his name.
We interviewed him Friday evening.
if you'll hang around for executive session, we'll discuss this in executive
The
session.
young lady, she's got 5 years. Of experience, that person worked in Hazelburg, they agreed to come down and help us. But we've done our checks on NCIC and everything, come up good on the background check. I checked it more in depth and E-Trace. And appreciate y'all. We're having to deal with, every time we have football games, we had an incident that if it wouldn't be for the grace of God and the officers' alertness, it could have got bad. We apprehended some subjects at the game with weapons. One had a automatic clip on it. The schools and all those people that come into town for these games, they deserve to be protected as well as our kids and families while they're watching the game. So I made it mandatory. When we have a game, everybody that we got, we're gonna protect their cars and we're gonna protect them. The only thing gonna solve our overtime problem is hiring more people. When we got individuals voluntarily working, we make sure they go home and get rest. But we don't have a choice but to do what it takes to protect the city. I don't have a choice. So the only thing can solve our problems is hiring more officers. And I love my city. I do anything I can for each and every one of y'all. We need to work together and do the best we can to keep the city safe.
Chief, and I think the dog is a good idea, but we used to have a dog. Do you know why we don't have a dog anymore? Was it cost? Was it age?
I don't know. Assistant Chief, I think he was the dog handler, and he probably can tell you better because that's all he did. They asked a question about dogs. That's your specialty.
I'm just curious, because we had a dog. Why didn't we keep a dog?
The 3 dogs, I worked 3 dogs, 2 Malinois and 1 Shepherd over the course of 17 years before moving into investigation. The first dog was got on a Telephone Pioneers grant. The second dog I bought myself and leased him to the city. That was Felix. And then the third dog we got from K9 Concepts at a discounted price. with Chris PQ, bargaining the deal, but for a deal purpose dog, you're looking at probably anywhere from 16 to 20,000 right now, somewhere in between. And, then you gotta take into account a car, kennel time, a kennel, feed, medical, and, training time for the officers and the dog. So there's a lot of federal regulations that play into it now too. So after my last dog passed away, it was the chief's discretion to get more venture back on.
The dogs died or aged out.
Yes.
Okay, then we couldn't afford to replace them.
So we're seeking out grants to do that, but I think it's a shame we have to wait till animals come from Washington Parish. We have our drone. I'm expecting to update our drone because you don't have to put officer life in danger. If we got a situation, the drone goes down. We've used it to fly inside the building and locate a suspect armed. We've used it to locate criminals that may have a weapon. So the technology we need the computers in the cars. We're presently now working call center. They take over at midnight from 12 to 8. We were working with Chris Reeves. We're trying to make it work. We ironing out problems, but we're working together to fix it. The call center is the future. We need to get this crime center up and running. Futures, I talked to Mr. Turnage. The schools have granted him permission to use all the outside cameras. And Cloverdale has granted him permission to have access to their cameras. We have cameras set up in Rogers Circle now. We need more lighting. I have diagrams for more lighting. We're quieting that area down with the help of the citizens, with the help of code enforcement, with the help of Mr. Byrne. Crane, what's your first name? Travis. The cameras have made a big difference. The landowners have helped us. If you shooting and clowning over there, they put them out. The code inspector, Mr. Fern, is cleaning up over there in Rogers Circle. If you ride through Rogers Circle now, it's like a different community. But it takes an effort between everybody to get that done. Everybody got to work together. You know, those cameras, they know they're there now. And for the past 2 months, we haven't had any problem because they know they're there. But we still have to patrol. You know, we still have to patrol, but it made a big difference in Rogers Circle, just like it did in Cloverdale. The technology, we need to upgrade our city before it gets out of hand. You heard all these cities having these cameras. People are afraid to testify. Witnesses are threatened. The cameras, they'll go to court. You need that to help you with the crime before it gets bad in Brookhaven. We got a pretty good town. If you don't believe me, go somewhere else. And I got all of their resume. I got Miss Simpson. She's got 5 years. She worked in Jackson. Person is working in Capone now. She had to work on basketball game or something about that. But they're all certified and qualified. NCIC. They're more thorough than an E-Trace ever will be. So these officers are all certified, qualified, ready to help us. And that's what we need is officers on the street. We're doing the best we can with what we got.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Mr. Fern.
On my way. I don't really have a report. Anybody got anything they want to ask me about? Okay.
Keith is out of pocket. He had a procedure done today, and so he didn't make it. Chris is out of town. He handed out, Kayla handed out a notice here regarding the State Department of Health, the report of the inspection of drinking water supply. They scored an overall capacity rating of 5.0 out of 5.0, which is quite a task, and we're very proud of them for that. Y'all got some information in your packets. I believe it was at your place there. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to point that out and acknowledge that. Good good job done. All right, under other business, we need to receive and award the off-road diesel bid. We need a motion. James Case at 347.9. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Under the other numbered items, we want to pull out number 6.
Forward to number 5.
Yeah, we'll just go with it. We'll just take them individually. Well, I think we can do 2 and 3 as a group. Let's do 2 and 3. We have a motion for 2 and 3.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Who said number 4?
And this is more, just so I understand. All right, like Brookhaven Food Center, 1,428.5, that's okay, we can get it. Or is it? I'm not sure. Well, if it is, you know, that, because on West Monticello, we're talking about, why can't we turn that into a lien on that property?
Let me tell you, this is not to write it off. It just moves into a bad debt list. That way, if they do come back in to reopen, it will be checked against it, and they will have to pay the balance.
Okay, well, James made a good point, that he don't call it write-off then.
Retitle it.
Right off. Okay.
Okay, well,
What are you gonna retire?
It's Kayla's report, so I'll have to talk to her about it.
and there's just a couple other things that I wanted to just mention, like Frank Burns here on 51 Sound. And, you know, Frank did, but this is probably from the nursery, but they don't have water. Because that's when we're trying to get the water line run across the highway for him and Matt Hall, because they are for well out there. So I don't understand how they got an outstanding water bill when they're on the well. Also, do we charge Lincoln Residential Center for water?
I don't have that answer. Yeah, we're gonna table number 4 too.
And that's
While
fair.
when they're here to, be able to discuss that.
Yeah, and because one other question I got is, how do we let somebody get $3,531.21 into us for water? And that's an individual.
We're gonna table it.
That may be garbage.
It could be something, that's what
Probably is.
it jumps out at you.
Item number 5, Shannon, I believe.
I'm just gonna vote no.
Sorry. Receive. All right. We need a motion though to approve that. We have a motion. Number 5, we're gonna table number 4. Number 5 is they are increasing from 13, Arrow is increasing from 13.23 to 13.54 based on the consumer price index. And that's part of the contract.
But
But if we give you the bid, it has to go down.
Yes. But you're tied up for 6 years.
this is one of those things that it's automatically in the contract, so, I mean, because I don't necessarily want to vote for it myself. Technical.
Yep. All right, we have a motion.
Our motion, I mean, feel like we have to do it, but our motion.
All right, we need a second.
If it's in the contract, it's really don't need it.
Evidently, pulling that particular portion out because of that next one.
Since it's already a given, you shouldn't have to vote. It's already.
It was, I mean, it was pulled out to be on here. I suppose that's probably covering all the provision that's in the contract. Whether you do it or not, so yeah, when you have increases like that, sure, the auditor's office is gonna come in and say, why are you making those payments 1354 instead of 1333?
So do we have to?
He's just trying
It's
to.
probably best that you do.
You've already contracted for it, number one, but when the auditor comes in, you know, this is just gonna be pulled for the increase in payments, because it may increase from year to year.
You know, I was.
Motion is second. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Wait a minute.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Any opposed?
Okay, vote yes.
Vote
For.
Any abstentions? Too short. Let's do a, pardon? Yeah, well, I was just trying to figure out who else is on the list there. Okay. Number 6.
So 3. 4 yes and 3 no.
4-3, okay. All right, number 6, it would be approve the ordinance for a leisure and entertainment district. We have a motion for that. Y'all should all be aware of it. Motion and second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Alderman Underwood, you have a report? Mr. McGee?
On Motor Street, that river raft that I was put in.
Please refrain from saying Moat Street and Riff Raff in the same sentence.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Henning, you have a report?
Yeah.
No, I wish we reconsider that item 6. I don't see the other next meeting or whatever. I make a motion to reconsider item 6.
He's in the same meeting.
Or at least discuss it. Item 6.
We have a motion to reconsider the vote on number 6. Do we have a second? All right, discussion.
I'd love to hear concerns.
I'm okay with it.
We're going with, the best thing we have done, China, correct? You may even have alcohol.
I think there may be a little misconception about what this would actually be about. this would basically be, an open container, but you would actually be able to, in that particular district, say, walk from Betty's restaurant to, Magnolia Blues with a drink and an appropriate cup. It does not mean that there would be beer sales outside at any festivals or at the Christmas parade or anything along that line. That's not what this is about.
It's one established for two.
That's correct. That's correct.
And
The way I
Or
understand that.
from, say, from Magnolia Blues to the inn downtown, so you could take
Yeah.
your drink out and go to the hotel. That's why you understand.
It's a meets and bounds, it's a central business district. This one was actually followed from Vicksburg. You've got to have approval of the, this would be alcohol beverage control division for actually enforcement. I called them about 3 or 4 times, legal department, asking them to give me something on prior to, and if you couldn't do anything. But, this was approved, I think there's one in Oxford, different cities have it. Vicksburg is the go.
Ocean Springs, Commonwealth Special Arts when they have a parades and festival downtown.
Basically, it's
If you have a concern, I'd love to hear it. Maybe we can address it.
It's for that area. Only, you can't take a drink, get in your car because Brookhaven does have an open container ordinance. There's not an open container law in the state of Mississippi. Each county and city regulates their own. And so there's certain things that you have to do if someone leaves the business and wants to the next business. Then mark, all those sorts of things. If the business allows someone to do that, they can be fined by the city for $250 per incident. They can have their license yanked by the city and of course then reported automatically to the alcohol beverage control division for the violation of that too. Probably you guys would have some sort of map up somewhere to make sure that those of you that live in the particular areas, and you can't bring your own liquor into that area. That's a conclusion. It's only in that kind of area. But that's just explaining. All right.
my understanding was that you could only buy it at permitted places which are existing, but they don't have to if they don't want to.
That's correct.
What I read in you.
They're not
And,
just,
and that they are required, if they do this, to post where you can go and you cannot go anywhere else but there. And the other thing was that you cannot have it in a can, bottle, glass, or paper container.
It has to be in their plastic cup with a name, with their name.
Right, or a styrofoam, I guess. would work.
The styrofoam has to have a name.
But it has to have the place's name on it. So if you see somebody out there with a cup in their hand without the name on it, then they're actually breaking the law. And there's a penalty in there, $250.
So we have marking on parade, you come outside, once you got that vendor's
Yep.
restaurant name.
So that, I mean, it says there, if it doesn't have the vendor's name on it, it's not legal.
So most of the events that's held in Brookhaven are family oriented events, right? Am I correct? So now we want to add alcohol into the Christmas parades and so forth. That's my speech. Yeah, that's my answer.
And that's a legitimate concern for me, because I thought about it. And, you know, because I thought about moving to remove parades, but then they got, well, they want to do the Mardi Gras parade. Well, then I thought about Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce does the Mardi Gras parade. What if we?
I mean, you said you can make it legal on certain days, we can make it not legal on other days.
I think you're probably free to exclude days that you or events that you
Well, what I was thinking is, could we make it inoperative during the time of the parade of over so many floats? So it's the Christmas parade, but maybe not the Mardi Gras parade.
So that's a call that y'all would have to make, and then the final approval is with the ABC. But if you're removing certain days, I don't see why that would be an issue. As you see, or events or whatever you carry
Yes, mostly paid. So you're withdrawing your motion and we're gonna table it, correct?
there. Maybe second.
County.
How can we table?
Well, we're tabling the motion.
We're tabling the motion.
Voted on it.
Right.
But you still got a motion to reconsider.
He's got a motion to reconsider pending with the second. Is he withdrawing his motion to reconsider and the second?
Well, that wouldn't be the proper thing.
Well, we don't, yeah, how do we need to handle that? Because we actually don't want to completely discard it. We want to go back and get some more information and maybe fine tune it a little bit. You okay with that, Jeff?
If you've got a motion to reconsider pending, you got a motion to reconsider pending, okay? And y'all want to discuss it later, well, then you can just leave it on the table, let it stay, and move on to the next item.
His motion would be,
His motion would
but
still
we
be on the
voted
table.
tonight,
for a second.
it's done with.
Your first vote was was in the negative. His motion to reconsider the previous vote whereby it was defeated.
So
So
now
it's
he,
pending with the second, and that's where you are right now.
okay, so by rule, he'll have to have a 5-2 vote now.
No, because it's in the same night of the meeting. It is
All right.
not.
That's what messed up last time. Watch how Ricky said.
That's right.
I should have done it the same night.
And then it can
So I
go for how
waited.
long?
What do you mean?
Months? How long is this pending last?
No, tonight.
Okay.
Once
but I'm-
you
no,
adjourn,
that's
once you
what-
adjourn, then you're in a different posture.
That's what I'm saying, that's what, so if we leave it pending and we adjourn tonight, then he's gotta have a 5-2.
You Taylor for more literature to
That'd be
explain,
correct.
to outline what he really wants. as
That'd
far
be
as-
correct.
For how long? What's the time frame? For a month?
Well, it's defeated.
But
So
then
you-
this is just a general ordinance.
But it's,
I can come in next meeting and make a
That's right,
motion
make
to
a
adopt
motion.
this
That's
general
all.
ordinance.
But it's-
Make a new ordinance, do the same thing, just
What I'm
change
saying
the
is-
word.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't have to have the,
it can go back on the calendar again.
Yeah, you can change the word on it, but just sort of do
Yeah, because it's a new ordinance.
Right. So that's the question, you get both this done, and just create a new ordinance with the right language.
When you adjourn, it's just gonna.
Yeah, we're good to go. Anything else, Jeff?
And I'm also.
Yeah, I can have
Mr.
it.
Bryan, you have a
Well, since it came out, I want to echo what Mr. McGee said, and I'm living on it, and I just have a problem with it. I talked to you guys all individually before we came in here, and, just to have to say, you know, that, anyway, I'm against it, because I think it's a slippery slope. I don't know where it's heading. I mean, next thing it could be that we have buildings, and I'm just against it for family or anything, in period. I mean, it's on premises, they can go in there and drink it, you're fine, just drink it inside, I mean, you know, but anyway, that's my opinion, that's how I feel. And I don't have anything else.
Mr. Speller, can you have a
Yeah, I'm piggybacking off of what he and, he's right on that. If we're gonna do this, then we need to find grants to get these, get a community center for these kids. We're doing everything for these adults, but what are we doing for these kids? And we need a place for these kids.
Sure.
We in our second term, I mean, we in our second year, going into the third, and we have done nothing for these kids. Everything's going on. You know, when I was younger, we had swimming pools, we had team center, we had all this stuff, and we have nothing for these kids to do. But we have everything for these adults to do. And if anything is voted on from here on out, my answer is no. I'm voting no on everything. I don't care what it is. Until we do something for these kids, I'm not voting. Well, yeah, I'm voting, but I'm voting no. That's what my vote's gonna be is no. Where are we at on those bikes? Samantha, what did they say about those bikes?
Well, our Dusty Shepherd, our representative, he left Energy, so he's no longer with us. We have a new guy, so I'm gonna work with him, but materials, store no materials. What he said, so.
And,
So the materials get in, is that,
as
soon as the materials get in,
okay, and then the other thing, we said we would have $100,000 in each ward to go ahead and do these streets. I have not yet to hear anybody tell me when are we gonna start this process on these streets. If the money's there and we done found out what streets we doing, what's the hold?
That's a Ryan and a Keith question. Keith's not here tonight.
I asked Mr. Ryan about that, he said he was prepared to do it, I think that's what I got, he's gone, but Keith wanted Keith here.
Keith had surgery.
Okay,
He had surgery.
first we had Ryan, it was out. Now we got Keith that is out. Somebody's car gonna be out, so they gonna be done hit all them potholes around town and stuff like that. And then they gonna be out of car. You know, we need to move on this, you know, hey, we don't need to hear nothing other than, okay, this is when the project don't start. The money is there. I mean, I got my quote from Ryan, today, on what my street's gonna cost me, so I'm ready to roll. People in my ward ask them, you know, when they gonna fix these streets, when it's gonna happen? I mean, I can't get no answer, because, ain't nobody here to give me no answer. And then one more other thing, we talk about these petitions. I look on Facebook, everybody talks about Sullivan's bad meat and everything like that. Grocery stores, when I talk to those folks, grocery stores want to see petitions, or well, I wouldn't say petition, they want to see the number of people that wants grocery stores. They want to see the number of people that wants restaurants to come into town. You know, people need to stop trying to coerce people into not saying, okay, well, look, we don't need to do these petitions and things like that. Yes, we do need to do these petitions. We need to have them out there so people can make their decisions on what they want in Brookhaven. They pay taxes. They have the right to decide it. We have all these people that we done hired and did all of this other stuff in the 2 years, and we still have not done anything. We need to do something, and we need to act on it. Let's take our thumbs out of our mouths and do something, people.
That's right.
That's all I got.
Hey, you are more than welcome, and any of you petitioners are welcome to buy a piece of property, make the investment in a new grocery store or a new restaurant. These are business decisions that these companies
Yeah,
make.
yes, they are, and they won't.
And the city cannot tell them to
They
come
won't.
or not to come.
And they want numbers. Do I need to have them come over here and we hold a conversation with me and you and the daily leader? Because the businesses said that they need numbers. They want numbers. They want to see how many people want that to come here.
I think everybody in this room wants them to come, but it's their decision to come. We can have a motion right now on that.
Let's set up
a sheet right now.
Let's set up a sheet. Let's set up a sheet.
Grocery store.
Let's set up a sheet. Let's set up a sheet and let it be in City Hall to where they can come over here and sign up for it.
Sign them up.
Some already going around.
Y'all heard that.
Some already going
Everybody
around.
heard that.
I heard.
Go ahead. What are we signing up for? Who are you gonna make do this?
It's not to make it. It's not to make it. You put down how many people want to see a
You're more
grocery
than
store.
welcome to do that.
You want to see how many
Absolutely.
people want a
Nobody
restaurant.
has discouraged you from your.
You want to see how many people want a community center for these kids.
I thought we were talking grocery stores.
Yeah, all of it.
And.
I said that too.
Okay, good. You can do your petition, that is perfectly fine. And that's the first time I've been involved in that discussion.
Oh, wow. I mean, you've been involved in a lot of discussions I haven't been involved in.
Really?
Really?
That's interesting.
I'm done.
Okay,
Heck, the first
sorry,
time.
you're up.
Sure. Reverend,
That's what I'm doing all this crazy stuff.
you can ask me about.
I am not in the workshop.
Applications can be ready.
It ain't the first time. Been big for you.
Rolling home, I've been looking at water for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
Since the city is a 5 out of 5, we're not gonna be eligible to even apply for any of that lead pipe. Water money. We're probably gonna be out of that. However, decent news is, talking with our friends over at Wise Carter, there is a $30 million grant program that's in effect. We don't think there's gonna be a lot of people who apply this year. But anyway, it's 10 million set aside for transportation, i.e. buses or things like that, which we don't have here within the city. So there's a possibility we may be able to loop into another 10 million for an airport. Projects out there. Be great if we can to compete on something else yet in their client base. So that is available.
All right, under employee-related payroll changes, hirings, and resignations, we can take number 1, 2, and 5 as a group. On number 5, you need to correct that name from William James to Martin Fields. Do we have a motion for 1, 2, and 5?
I'll move.
Do we have a second? All in favor, please raise your hand. Number 3 and 4, we're gonna deal with in executive session. At this point, we need a motion to go into executive session. Who seconded that? All in favor, please raise your hand. All in favor, please raise your hand.
I gotta usher everybody.
It's okay, sir, thank you.
Call Big Curry and ask her if they got. Here. I don't need to do anything. I'm trying to take it. They're different boys.
This ain't the first time that it been brought up about, swimming pool.